My name is Sidney Chase, 32 years old, and I'm the overlooked middle child of the Chase Holdings empire. Picture this. I step into our grand Greenwich mansion for Thanksgiving, the scent of roasted turkey filling the air. But there's my dad, Richard Chase, glued to his phone, whispering to my mom with a grin that feels off. Little do they know, beneath my simple black dress lies a fire they've long underestimated. Tonight, Richard is about to drop a bombshell that will shake our family to its core. But trust me, it won't go down the way he thinks. Growing up in one of Boston's wealthiest suburbs, our life looked like a glossy magazine cover. A sprawling colonial, 6 bedrooms, an indoor pool, and a lawn that needed 3 gardeners to keep it pristine. We were the quintessential American success story. My grandfather, Robert Chase, started Chase Capital Tech in his garage back in 1978, armed with nothing but a second-hand computer and a groundbreaking idea. He built it into a regional powerhouse before my father took the reins in 1995. Under Richard's leadership, Chase Capital Tech exploded from a $10 million family business to a $50 million giant, employing over 200 people nationwide. Every holiday dinner, every family vacation, every weekend barbecue turned into a tribute to his business genius. The Chase name became synonymous with success in Boston, and Richard never let anyone forget it, especially his kids. There were 3 of us, the Chase kids. My older brother, Garrett, 38, was the golden child, despite his lack of business savvy. He majored in communications, partied through college, and still, Dad handed him a vice president position the day after graduation. Meanwhile, I was the one left in the shadows, the middle child, fighting for my place in a family that seemed to have forgotten me. But tonight, everything changes. Richard's betrayal will ignite a fire in me, a determination to reclaim my worth and turn this family drama into my own story of revenge. The rain begins to patter against the windows, a perfect backdrop for the storm brewing within me. Will I rise from the ashes of this betrayal, or will I remain the forgotten daughter? Stay tuned, because this is just the beginning. Garrett flashed his Rolex. "Good day on the water," he smirked. Dad patted his back. They spoke like kings. I sat, a ghost at mahogany. Me, Sidney Chase, 32, MIT grad, built 3 revenue engines from dorm room code. Yet every board dinner, Dad stared straight through me, like the chandelier behind glass. Garrett slapped shots on sandy decks while I rebuilt our ledger, line by line. He dated models. I dated spreadsheets. He partied in Nantucket. I hacked till 3 a.m. Megan, 29, polished champagne glasses for the gram. Old mill backdrop, caption, "Blessed to be a Chase," 0 lines of code, 0 profit. But the likes rolled in. Mom passed Chardonnay like antidote. "Richard, hear her out," she tried once. His knuckles whitened around the crystal. "Diane, real men discuss golf." A trap door shut. I heard my pulse, smelled rain sneaking in the parlor window, saw my future shrink to 2 inches between shrimp cocktail and white wall. Tonight, he lifts the velvet shroud. An envelope slides toward me under cold gold crest. Neon Boston glints off the blade of glass. Garrett's smirk widens. Sidney Chase. Walk out 30 million richer, or vanish in Daddy's exit plan. If I ever dared to share my ideas, Dad would lean back with a patronizing smile and say, "That's sweet, Morgan." It was like I was invisible. But the real breaking point came at 22. Fresh out of MIT with honors, I created a cloud-based integration solution set to transform our product line, years ahead of the competition. Months of sweat went into my pitch, market analysis, technical specs, an ironclad business plan. Finally, Dad reluctantly agreed to let me present at a board meeting, a mere professional courtesy. Entering that mahogany-paneled, smoke-filled boardroom, I felt like a high-stakes gambler. My heart raced with nervous excitement as I set up my laptop. I scanned the room, old men in tailored suits, their expressions dry as old toast. The moment I connected my laptop to the projector, It was game on. 10 minutes in, right as momentum surged, Dad checked his watch like it was a referee's whistle. "Enough," he declared, cutting me off with a tight smile that felt like a stab. "This is very creative, but impractical for a serious enterprise like ours. Our clients want stability, not experimental whimsy." He swiftly motioned to the board, who chuckled at my expense. I felt the humiliation burn through me as I packed up my dreams like unwanted baggage, dismissed and forgotten. That night, as the scent of rain filled the air through my window, I made a vow. I was done with Boston, done with the Chase family business. I would build my own empire, something so undeniably successful that even Dad couldn't turn his back on me. With just $5,000 in my pocket, I left everything behind. My parents saw it as a childish tantrum, a phase doomed to fail. They laughed, thinking I'd come crawling back. Little did they know, I was already plotting my rise from the ashes. Would I reclaim my voice, or be silenced forever? This was just the beginning. Sydney Chase stands in a drizzle that smells like copper wire and old pennies. She is 29. Nobody from Boston knows her real net worth is $200 million. A voice note hums on her phone. Dad's dry chuckle cuts through every raindrop. She'll slink home when the bank account hits zero. Sydney's pulse tattoos against her ribs. She thumbs record. 10 seconds of steady breathing. Send. No words. Sydney knows silence cuts deeper. Backstory spins. Fast. Junior studio mattress on milk crates. Cold coffee rhymed with sugar. 2-minute showers to beat the landlord's timer. 80-hour weeks rewriting spaghetti code at 3 a.m. Hunger tastes like cheap miso and the burn of a laptop screen. First client, a pet treat startup, pays $5,000. She reinvests every cent. By year 3, she owns a Soma loft, 10 believers in hoodies, and a server room that hums like a sleeping dragon. Her invention snaps legacy software into cloud formation like Lego blocks clicking together. VCs waive term sheets. She keeps 62% of Everest Holdings, refuses the board seat spotlight. Public face, Emmy Stone, hoodie over hair, baseball cap pulled low. The name tag at panel discussions reads staff, so reporters leave her alone. Thanksgiving. Greenwich drawing room smells like clove and old money. Mom circles the crystal bowls. Dad explains market cap like a bedtime story nobody asked to hear. He gestures toward Sydney with the back of his hand. "Still temping, right, kiddo?" She swallows a grin, bites pie crust instead of truth. 48 hours later, she's back on a red-eye. Airplane lights blink like Morse code. I'm still here, nowhere near returning. Sydney opens the balcony door to San Francisco fog. City halo glimmers gold and ruthless. She mouths the promise again, softer. Not yet. She will walk back into that ballroom. He'll have to stop mid-toast. She imagines Dad's fork freezing between china and shocked lips. For now, Everest grows silently, a shark beneath smooth water. Sydney scrolls through a prospect list. 3 smaller firms. Perfect bites. Finger hovers over acquire. She taps. System pings. Deal locked. One more brick in the castle she is building behind a false name. The world thinks Emmy Stone is a myth. Boston thinks Sydney is a runaway. Soon, both illusions will collide. Rain stops. Neon signs drip red, white, electric blue onto wet pavement. She closes the laptop. Countdown begins. 10 Thanksgiving Eve boards ago, the air was thick with the scent of clove and orange. I remember pressing my small, brown-bobbed head against the frosted glass of our opulent home, watching my father crown the chosen one, the future of our family name. My image reflected back at me, a mere shadow, already fading into the background. The crystal cranberry spoon clinked against china, echoing like a verdict into the silence. The taste of being invisible settled heavily on my tongue. Fast forward to today. As I built Everest Holdings into a titan poised to shock the prestigious Chase dynasty, I watched from the sidelines. What they didn't realize was that for the past year, I had been acquiring shares in companies crucial to Chase Holdings. I studied their every move, digging into quarterly reports and identifying weaknesses like a hawk eyeing its prey. 6 months ago, I sent an anonymous acquisition offer to my father's desk. He tossed it aside without a second thought. Now, 10 years after being humiliated in that boardroom, here I stood, ready for Thanksgiving, armed with a plan to flip the family script. Chase Holdings was floundering, lagging behind in a world racing ahead with cloud technology. Little did my father know, I was gearing up to become his worst nightmare, the very force that could save him from the brink. A week before the holiday, I finalized the most crucial deal of my life from my corner office overlooking the glistening San Francisco Bay. When my assistant brought my travel itinerary, it felt surreal. "Your private jet is confirmed for Tuesday at 11, she said, her bright demeanor contrasting with my somber determination. "Are you sure you don't want the team there for the signing?" "This is personal," I replied, staring into the distance. I needed this to be about me. Only me. After she left, my phone buzzed. It was Isabella, my closest ally from those lean years, checking in. "Are you seriously going through with this Thanksgiving charade?" she asked, the concern etched in her voice. I leaned back in my chair, turning away from the view. "Yes, Izzy, I have to witness it." I needed to see his face when everything I'd built came crashing in. "Don't forget last Christmas," she warned carefully. "Remember when he publicly announced Garrett's promotion while you sat there with your Series B funding silently unacknowledged?" Glimmers of that painful past flickered in my mind. But this time would be different. Parent and child, poised at a chaotic pivot, I was no longer the overlooked middle child. Soon, my name would take center stage once more. As I closed my laptop, the rain outside gradually ceased, each droplet a countdown, an echo of the past giving way to the storm to come. I was ready to reclaim my place. I land at Logan. Black Bentley purrs. Leather smells like rain and old money. The gate creaks. Same colonial facade, same manicured lie. Butler greets me like royalty, then hesitates. He pivots, leads me past the portraits, past childhood, down the narrow stair, cold stone, wine cellar door cracked open, candles flicker, reflections warp in bottle glass. And there it is, a brand new frame. Me. Last month, San Fran boardroom, laser eyes, victory smirk, shot from the shadows I never noticed. Dad's voice drifts out, velvet, chilling. Our silent partner, Sidney Chase, who signed us away before turkey was carved. He chuckles, glass clinks with the reflection of me. My own face stares back, caught, sold, hung on a wall like a trophy. Heart slams ribs. Pulse roars louder than the jet engines. Did he know all along? Did he bait the trap with my ambition? I step into the amber light. Eyes sting from candle smoke. Or betrayal. He turns, grins like I'm the punchline to a decade-old joke. "Welcome home, darling. Shall we toast to family?" The car door clicks shut behind me. Cool November wind carries the sting of salt and dead leaves off the harbor. I clutch my coat tighter, boots tapping the same granite steps I sprinted up after lacrosse practice, back when trophies crowded the hall and I was just the spare. Same door, same brass lion knocker. This time, it feels like a mouth ready to bite. Mom opens before I knock. "Sydney." She draws my name out like a question. Her gaze flicks to the Daytona on my wrist, then to the tailored trench that cost more than her first Birkin. "You cut your hair." I nod. "Easier to manage in 80-hour weeks." She laughs, too bright, touching the glass stem of Chardonnay already in her hand. "Come see what I ordered for the tablescape. Peonies flown in from Bogota." I follow her through rooms scented with cinnamon and money. Crystal glints. Frames smile. My 8th grade science fair ribbon still dangles. Second place, of course. Over the mantel, a new portrait. Richard Chase, patriarch in navy suit, chin lifted like he owns gravity. Mom keeps talking. Your brother rehearsed his toast for 3 hours. Something about legacy. He's on the terrace now, checking the caterpillar lights. Can you believe he rented? Where is he? I ask. Study, she answers, waving toward the mahogany corridor. Voice drops. Big deal on the burner. So secret even the Somme doesn't know the Bordeaux. My pulse drums bass in my ears. 2 years since Dad yanked my project at the Christmas party. 2 years since he toasted Garrett's VP Rise while I sat squeezing a crystal flute until it cracked. Memory flickers, his smirk like a blade. I swallow, tasting copper courage, and head down the runner. Dark wood, dim sconces, rain ticking against leaded glass. I stop at the half-open door. Inside, candlelight moves like breath. Voices. No. One voice, low and amused. Sydney doesn't suspect, he says. Once the Chase Capital documents are signed tomorrow night, we own her cap table outright. She can come home. Take a seat on the nonprofit board. Keep her busy. My spine turns to ice. I push the door with a fingertip. The hinge creaks. Across the desk, the same thick folder Mom once labeled Sydney Backup Plan lies open under lamplight. A stranger in a charcoal suit slides a pen toward Dad. The nib hovers above my signature line. Already signed? The stranger notices me first. His pupils widen. A silent alarm. Dad's gaze lifts. Our eyes lock. In the amber glow, his face is exactly as I remembered. Sharp cheekbones, silver hair, ruthless calm. But tonight it carries something else. Pride? Regret? I can't tell. The pen stops mid-stroke. Ink beads like blood. Time stalls. Rain slows to individual drops striking the pane. Somewhere, a leaf blower roars across the neighbor's lawn. My pulse is louder. His mouth shapes my name, soft, almost tender. Sydney. A whisper that cracks louder than any slap. The folder snaps shut. Leather thud. Do I step forward and confront, or walk away and execute the counterstrike wired from a quiet WeWork on Mission Street? Heart slams countdown. 3, 2. My phone vibrates. One glance. Izzy. Blockchain confirmation complete. My 28% poison pill stake just activated. The plan is live. I lift my chin. His eyes narrow. Regret hardens to calculation. The pen lifts again. Trembles. Hovers. Checkmate or roulette? Silence drips like melting wax. The cold Boston rain clings to my skin, mingling with the scent of Dad's hand-rolled cigar. I'm 7, standing at his mahogany desk, crayon-bright report card in hand. He doesn't even look up. The wind howls through the cracked French doors, and behind me, Mom's laughter feels like a knife. Vivaldi blares from his speakers, drowning out the silence that screams disappointment. Fast forward to now. My heart races as I stand outside his study, pulse pounding like a drum. 2 years since Dad yanked my project at the Christmas party. 2 years since he toasted Garrett's VP Rise while I cracked a crystal flute in my grip. I can still see his smirk, sharp as a blade. I swallow hard, tasting the copper of my courage, and push the door open just a crack. Inside, candlelight flickers like a heartbeat. I hear Dad's voice, low and amused. Sydney doesn't suspect. Once the Chase Capital documents are signed tomorrow night, we own her cap table outright. My spine turns to ice. I step closer, the hinge creaking like a warning. There it is, the folder Mom labeled Sydney Backup Plan, wide open under the lamplight. A stranger in a charcoal suit slides a pen toward Dad, hovering above my signature line. Already signed. His gaze meets mine, and time freezes. The rain slows to a whisper against the glass. Sydney, he says, soft yet sharp, a whisper that cuts deeper than any slap. The folder snaps shut, and I'm left with a choice. Confront him or execute my counterstrike from a quiet WeWork on Mission Street. My heart counts down. 3, 2. My phone vibrates. One glance. Izzy. Blockchain confirmation complete. My 28% poison pill stake just activated. The plan is live. I lift my chin and his eyes narrow, regret morphing into calculation. The pen trembles, hovering in the air. Checkmate or roulette. Silence drips like melting wax. I maintain my composure as he finishes his call. Big things happening at the company. You wouldn't understand. The familiar dismissal rolls off me like water. Of course, Dad. I'll let you get back to it. I head upstairs to my old bedroom, a shrine to my teenage self. Debate trophies, computer science awards, MIT pennants, dusty reminders of achievements that never impressed him. After freshening up, I find Garrett in the living room, scotch in hand at 3 p.m. Well, well, the prodigal sister returns, he mocks, raising his glass. Still playing with computers in California? Something like that, I reply, forcing a tight smile. Before I can answer, Megan bursts in, phone angled just right for her Instagram followers. Morgan is here, everyone. Family reunion time. She air kisses my cheeks. You look expensive, sis. Did you finally find yourself a rich boyfriend? No, just working hard, I say, stepping out of her camera frame. Garrett, with his new girlfriend, whispers, Amber, she's 24 and does yoga professionally. A willowy blonde enters, designer jeans hugging her perfect figure. He pulls her close, pride radiating from him. Amber, this is my sister Morgan. She lives in San Francisco and does tech stuff. But I'm not just tech stuff. I'm Sydney Chase, and I'm here to reclaim my place in this family. A single dismissive wave. Instant replay in my head. A decade of my life. Poof. Amber's giggle ripples through the room. OMG, the Ferry Building Farmers Market? So cute. I force a nod, jaw locked. From Dad's study, a barked laugh slices the air. Not joy. Victory. 50 million. Everest Holdings. Tomorrow after turkey. Every word lands like hail on tile. In the kitchen, leek scent and oven heat wrap around me. Maria's knife taps rhythm. Shave, turn, slice. Miss Morgan, you shine like that California sun. A soft smile, then lower. Your mama says big news at dinner. I grip the counter edge, so the cook knows before the kids do. Back in the living room, Garrett lifts his glass to his own reflection in the mirror. Boat engines, champagne, 24-year-old yoga. Megan's ring light throws a halo on porcelain skin. Snap, flash, post. All together for Thanksgiving Eve. I nurse a barely touched Pinot, watching them like a stranger. Not wounded daughter, not anymore. Hawk-eyed operator. Poison pill locked and loaded. Dinner bell. We glide to the dining room. The long table glows under Wedgwood and chandelier sparks. 3 generations of polished silver, 0 warmth. I pull out my chair, seat cool against my palms. The plan is live. By dessert, the dynasty could be dust. The carving knife stops mid-slice, blade trembling above the golden breast. Dad's phone vibrates once, a shiver of autumn rain against the windows. The color drains from his cheeks like wine sucked out of crystal. Silver clatters to china. Candlelight shivers. The room holds its breath. Megan's phone is still spinning on the table like a lazy coin. Everyone leans. Heartbeats thrum. Pulse races. The headline blazes, Sydney Chase named new CEO of Chase Capital. Dad sucks in air, but nothing comes. Garrett's chair scrapes backward. Amber presses fingers to lips. Sydney stands slow, the way a sail unfurls. She lifts her glass. The rim catches the chandelier's fire. To Thanksgiving takeovers, she says. The voice is soft. The smile is steel. The silence crackles. Outside, a maple leaf flutters down. Inside, dynasties tilt. One question lingers. Who leaked it? And why now? Amber giggles, planting a kiss on Garrett's cheek. Meanwhile, Megan gags dramatically behind his back, her phone still glued to her hand. I'm so thrilled to have hit 1 million followers this year, she beams, eyes glimmering. Collaborating with Luxury Life Cosmetics has been amazing. I'm proud to represent the Adams brand to the world. Dad nods, his approval clear, but I see the subtle frown. Privately, he complains about her silly pursuits. When my moment arrives, I set my fork down and speak with intent. I'm thankful for life's lessons, I declare. Rejection can reroute you to the right path. Persistence beats privilege. And success, that's the ultimate teacher. A flicker in Dad's expression, but he brushes it aside for his own gratitude speech, standard fare on his family empire. Mom offers her usual, slightly tipsy thanks for health and family. Throughout dinner, Dad's distracted, eyes glued to his phone beneath the table. He whispers to Mom, and her smile fades further. Garrett steals the spotlight, bragging about clients he's impressed, while Megan interrupts to share follower comments from her Thanksgiving Instagram story. Then, as Maria brings in the pumpkin and pecan pies, Dad taps his knife against his crystal glass. That sharp ping silences the room, tension thickening the air. I have an announcement, he proclaims, standing tall at the head of the table, authority radiating. Even Megan lowers her phone. As you know, I've poured my life into building Adams Software into an industry leader. But evolution calls for change. He lets the words linger, the weight of them crashing into the silence. I've decided to sell the company. Suddenly, the room shifts. Shock ripples across faces, the air electric with betrayal. My heart races, emotions clash, leaving me breathless. My dreams of proving myself felt crushed under the weight of this moment. But what if? What if this was my chance? Outside, autumn rain whispers against the windows. Inside, history trembles. Everything I've endured, every overlooked effort, resurfaces. The air smells of fear mingling with ambition. My heart pounds. Can I reclaim my place in this fractured legacy? As frost bites the window panes, my resolve hardens. The ocean will learn my name. They may have underestimated me for too long, but now the tides would turn. A reckoning was brewing, and I wouldn't just be a middle child lost in the shadows. I'd reclaim what was rightfully mine. Rain needles the dark glass behind Dad, each drop a countdown. Garrett's jaw hangs. Megan clings to her phone like a life raft. I set my fork down with a porcelain click. 1 beat. 2. Dad's smile is steel. Everest Holdings has signed. 50 million wired by dawn. 50? The number tastes like copper. I swallow once. And who owns Everest, Dad? A flicker. That doesn't concern you. Mistake. I lift my gaze. December 1st I bought, quietly, 61% of Everest Holdings common stock. Tomorrow, the board will hear from their new majority shareholder. Pause. Me. Silence stretches until the grandfather clock coughs 11. Garrett's chair scrapes. Little sister, what? I click the TV to CNBC. Headline burns red. Chase Capital Tech stock halted. Hostile takeover by mystery group. Footage. Outside our gates, floodlit cop cars. Agents and windbreakers crest the lawn. The audio catches. Richard Chase, asset freeze immediate. Dad's pulse flares at his throat. He tears to the foyer, phone already dialing. Megan's live stream pings. Feds just followed me. Garrett knocks into the sideboard. The crystal decanter leaps, crashes. Wine blooms like arterial spray over monogrammed linen. The living room iPad glows with FaceTime. Brandon's lawyer's face snaps into view. Behind him, a dark screen stamped with DOJ shield. Richard, your protective order's revoked since 9 p.m. We're cool. He grins. Asset freeze effective now. You're my final loose end. The iPad tilts, the rear camera flips, and there I am, silent, framed by my own Zoom square. I speak just loud enough. Legacy is liquid now, Dad. The Hardy estate owns every cent of your debt. And the Chase name? That's mine now. Your signature is powerless. The sirens crescendo through walls vibrating with brass knocks. Garrett drops to his knees. Megan's ring light flutters like a trapped moth. Dad stares at me across the distance of 25 years of being overlooked. "Impossible," he whispers. I lean closer to the lens. "One thing I learned while you counted wealth in marble staircases. Bricks can be bought, but dreams, you pay with risk. Tonight, the house card finally fell, and guess what? I stacked the bottom deck." Agents push inside, boots wet on oak. Their flashlights paint rainbows across oil portraits. Dad straightens, the titan unraveling stitch by stitch as handcuffs click. The scent of pecan pie drifts back in, warm sweetness edged with rebellion. I turn to Mom, her lipstick faded, eyes wide. "Pie's still hot?" I say gently. "Want dessert?" I let the lie sink in, tasting copper rage behind my teeth. Then I crack my phone open like Pandora's box, one unsent draft. White letters on black screen. "Dad, I know you murdered Everest's founder. Revenge has already begun." A picture drops. Water stains the walnut table. It's the man in the frame, Emmett Stone, the mentor they called my startup counselor. My blood pulses in my ears. Emmett, the coder who whispered Macbeth lines while debugging, who taught me to hide fortunes in offshore Deo trusts before I could vote. Not my godfather, my real father. The betrayal flips. I don't want the Chase empire back. I want it to burn itself down to the studs, and I wired the detonator months ago. Dad grabs my wrist, knuckles bruising bone. "What have you done?" The grandfather clock chimes once, midnight. I speak loud enough only for vinyl crackle and ghosts. "Remember the NR barrier clause you slipped into Series C? You forgot to check footnote 42. Everest owns 51% of Chase Holdings now. I used your own poison ink." Garrett's jaw drops. Megan's ring light flickers sideways, the live feed catching the exact second Dad realizes the room has tilted off its axis. Overhead, recessed bulbs pulse red, fed chic. The house windows bloom with flashlight glare. Agents in navy windbreakers flood the parlor like stormwater through cracked granite. I hear the ticks of the grandfather sync with handcuff clicks. Dad stares at me, both of us suddenly children in the hallway again. Him towering, me clutching a broken circuit kit. "How?" he rasps. Ice in my voice meets the heat in his. "I learned the house always loses when one player owns the math, the houses, and the ash." Pie steam floats between us, buttery and innocent. I offer the slice Mom's been rescuing for 25 years. Still warm. A photo frame lies face down, the mentor's smile turned ghost. My past exhales one last secret, the scent of coffee and solder, the quiet pledge beside a humming motherboard. Dad's final question echoes inside diamond cuffs, but the crowd surges forward, and the answer is swallowed by the clatter of legacy dissolving into motion. "I founded Everest Holdings 10 years ago after you dismissed my business proposal and humiliated me in front of your board." Dad snatched up the card, staring at it as if it might transform in his hands. "This is some kind of joke," he said, but his voice had lost its certainty. Everest Holdings now owns controlling interests in Nexus Technologies, DataStream Solutions, and Techor Industries. I continued naming Atom Software's 3 largest suppliers. We also recently acquired majority stakes in your 2 biggest clients, McKenzie Manufacturing and Westfield Distribution. The Atom Software acquisition is the final piece in a strategic plan I have been implementing for the past 18 months. You have been spying on our business. Garrett accused, his face mottled with rage. That is corporate espionage. No, Garrett, it is called market research. Everything I learned about Atom Software came from publicly available financial reports, industry analysis, and completely legal channels. I turned back to Dad. The truth is, Atom Software has been failing for years. Your technology is outdated. Your management practices are from the last century, and you have lost 22% market share in the past 3 years. How dare you? Dad began, but I cut him off. I tried to help you first. 6 months ago, Everest Holdings sent an anonymous partnership proposal that would have allowed the Adams name to remain on the company while providing the capital and technology upgrades you desperately needed. You rejected it without even reading past the first page. Dad's eyes widened in recognition. The Phoenix proposal. That was you. I nodded. I wanted to give you a chance to accept help without knowing it came from me. Your pride would not allow it. So, this whole time you've been plotting against your own family, Garrett shouted, planning to steal our company. Not steal, Garrett. Purchase legally for $50 million, which is honestly more than its current market value. I taste copper on my tongue. Rain taps the skylight like impatient fingers on a boardroom table. The scent. Petrichor mixed with old leather and scotch. Flashback hits. Me, at 16, pressed against that same glass, watching Dad toast Garrett's first golf trophy, my software mock-up left to curl on the patio. The leaf rustle under my sneakers is the same hush I hear now as Dad shoves his chair back. His ring thunders on mahogany. Choose. One-syllable ricochets off ancestral portraits. I close my eyes. I see the night I drove home from Greenwich, voice memo running. Everest starts tomorrow. I taste gas station coffee, feel the steering wheel imprinting fear into my palms. The silence now swells with that same heartbeat. Mom's ice clinks. Megan's grip tightens on her phone. Garrett's jaw pulses. Dad waits, chest heaving. I open my eyes. Calm. I made that choice 10 years ago, I say. I chose me. Soft exhale. A sigh of relief or regret. I no longer parse. The chandelier crystals shift, fracturing Dad's face into kaleidoscope regret. I pivot, heels echoing like gavel strikes. At the doorway, I pause, palm on the oak frame. 9 a.m. The world learns the Chase dynasty has new leadership. His dynasty. My Everest. The rain scent follows me down the hall, carrying whispers of the girl who once waited for an invitation that never came. Tonight, she writes the guest list. The chandelier quivers over the empty platters. Turkey grease congeals like secrets cooling. I hear the clink of crystal from the sideboard echo a decade-old toast. 10 years ago, that same silver slid under Dad's smirk as Garrett's sloppy handshake got the corner suite. My fingers find the cranberry-stained plate, and I trace an infinity loop, sticky, tenacious, like the girl who reread rejection memos at 3 a.m. beneath fluorescent lab lights that smelled of burnt solder and old Boston coffee. Megan sobs in the hallway. Perfume tears drift past, violet and electricity, the scent of bills she never had to pay. She whispers, "Our trust funds. Gone." "Gone," I answer silently, the way spring wind flips a leaf before you notice. Swift, gentle, final. I inhale cedar and cold November rain that wedges memories between floorboards. I close my eyes. Greenwich, winter break, MIT hoodie under a peacoat, suitcase on the doorstep because Dad forgot to put my name on the list. The suitcase wheels scraped maternal pity across mahogany floor that stretched like an ocean to him. Garrett slams his fist on the table. Gravy jumps. "You chose Thanksgiving on purpose to gut us in front of Mom." "No, I chose it because families sit runways on this day. Flight paths of truth forced to land whether turbulence is invited or not." His accusation rebounds, ricochets, lands on the grandfather clock that ticks 11 more times before I hear it. 11 more apologies he'll never speak. Dad's study door thunders. The echoes roll down hallway wallpaper that smells of antique leather and old Boston rain. I picture him pacing, jaw ticking like ticker tape. Both of us now calculating futures priced by bruised egos. His fat Rolodex of attorneys against my quiet army of believers, coders and hoodies, women in cubicles who learn to dodge mansplaining for fun. My phone buzzes on vibration setting. One text from Avery in DevOps. "Proud of you, Chief." Simple. Sharp. Truer than any Thanksgiving thank you I ever faked. Mom pauses beside my chair. Perfume fades into something smaller. Worry, maybe pride, maybe both. She rests cool fingers on my shoulder. 200 million? Her voice cracks. Still numbers. Not me. I nod. She adds, half-whisper, "Remember when you asked for violin lessons?" I smile at salt-stained memory. 12-year-old me holding the case like a life raft. She said we couldn't afford it while Garrett got private golf coaches and Megan piano recital spotlights. I open my mouth, but attend to the room, not the past. Maybe forgiveness is a porch light on a rainy road, but tonight the rain is on my windshield and the light is mine to switch. Silence expands. I ease up from the chair, cranberry loops now dry and immutable. The wine glasses are half full of wishes that never drank. I gather them softly, one by one, hearing leaf rustle outside the dining room French doors. The same rustle from that last night at the worn bench outside MIT where I drafted code under sodium streetlight. Each line a promise. You'll come back stronger, saltier, lighter. Footsteps echo empty rooms. I trace the paint crack above the mantelpiece. Family crest, tarnished gold. In the mirror, I catch my eye, grown, jaw steady, coat collar sharp as justice. Behind glass, her girl version stands pajama leg dangling marker-sketching rockets across homemade wrapping paper. I nod once. Somewhere in that reflection, she nods back. Our pact survives the dynasty implosion. Rain scent presses against window panes, soft, insistent, like destiny rapping. I draw a clean line across the tablecloth, clearing fiction from fact. Tomorrow headlines will scream of the Chase succession shakeup. Tonight, only this kitchen swells with quiet thunder of a woman choosing herself over centuries of silk-spinning tradition. I flick the overhead switch. Light goes dark. In the dark, her future steps forward. I shut the door on Thanksgiving. The knob clicks. Tapestry quiet. Clever? I echo. My voice is new leather. It doesn't squeak like the kid I was. Garrett's scent. Bourbon, panic, puddles on the navy carpet. His laugh cracks. You blindsided us with 200 million in front of the kids' table. I shrug. Weathered wool coat feels heavier than body armor. He points. This is war, Sydney. War? I tasted war each time I overfilled Dad's coffee while he praised Megan's prom dress. He spins to my shelf of dusty trophies. Fingers smear. First place, Hackmitt, 2009. Remember when you begged Dad to watch that awards stream? I do. He was golfing. I taste cranberry stain on the back of my teeth, tart reminder of how long unworthiness lingers. Garrett's phone buzzes lawyers on hold, but he doesn't answer. He slumps on the twin bed. Navy comforter wrinkles like defeat. We both stare at the ceiling, glow-in-the-dark constellations. Stars I stuck up at 14, dreaming of distant galaxies kinder than this one. He whispers, voice barely lifting the quiet. I gave up music for the firm. You gave up everything. No melody between us now, just the leaf rustle of old resentment outside the sash window. Rain scent sneaks through cracked pane. It smells like passwords we outgrew, like Mom's worry, like promises broken on silver platters. His eyes shimmer. Not triumph, maybe grief. You think Everest is yours alone, he says. I untwist the empty promise in his tone. I step closer. The floorboard creak like a jury. I tell him calm, steady, each word a chess move. It's half mine and half cancer to the legacy that forgot me. His jaw tightens. I wait. I breathe slow. I've rehearsed this scene in darker spreadsheets. He stands. The air thins. I brace for shouting. Instead, his shoulders drop. He looks 12. Boy who once let me borrow his guitar teaching chord book. I'm scared, he admits to the glow stars. Rain taps glass, a metronome. Scared, same word peeking from my own chest every boardroom glare. In this dormitory of ghosts, fear becomes common language. I uncross my arms. For the first time in 25 years, I offer Garrett a silence we both survive. Garrett nods once, quiet truce. He exits. Door snicks. Alone now, I press palms to chilled window. Streetlights blur gold through wet leaves. My phone buzzes. Richard texts a single blurred voice memo. I thumb play. His recorded words ride rain static. Sydney, call me. The board. They're not angry. They're curious. You may have saved us. Saved. My rib cage rattles. I set the phone face down and press forehead to cool glass. On bookshelf spine, I spot a second journal. One I never labeled. Inside, 12-year-old me wrote, "When they finally see you, stay kind." Ink Ghost smiles up at 33-year-old me still negotiating terms. I exhale through fogged window pane. Behind me, the closed door breathes. The house keeps speaking. Pots clatter downstairs, Aunt Diane arguing oven temperatures, cousins sniffling over wine refills. I peel off the navy comforter, fold it crisp, the first order after battle. My pulse steadies. Drum becomes decision. Tomorrow press conference, yes. Tonight, one footprint at a time. I open the closet for a coat hanger. Amber bulb flickers. There, nestled behind old cleats, a forgotten baby monitor blinks green. I freeze. Who plugs in a baby monitor in an empty childhood room? My thumb hovers. I press power. Tinny speaker crackles. Through the hiss, I hear Dad's raw murmur. I stage the betrayal so they'd rally behind her. Sydney had to fall to become the leader we need. My knees buckle onto carpet. The room tilts slow like gyroscope. Rain pounds louder. Heart craters. I stare at the glowing monitor. Tiny camera eyes staring back. The same one once aimed at a bassinet, now aimed at destiny. The wrong villain? I whisper to the static dark, "Dad?" In glass reflection, future girl now holds present woman's gaze. New question hangs humid between us. Is revenge still the compass if the arrow points home? I was 8 when I first hid inside the server closet at Chase Capital Tech. The hum of fans sounded like a promise. I called myself Ghost because nobody noticed ghosts. Tonight, the fans still hum, but the house smells of pine needles and old money turning sour. I lean over a marble sink. Water beads on my lashes. The same water that once reflected Dad's cufflinks now reflects my borrowed tears. Garrett slams the mahogany conference table, port sloshing, red like a warning light. Crystal decanter wobbles, falls, shatters. Insurance forms soak crimson. My heartbeat counts seconds. 1 Mississippi. 2. He snarls, "You hacked me." I breathe. "No, I audited you." I open my leather-bound ledger. Pages crackle like autumn leaf rustle outside. You took 300 grand through fake vendors. I traced your offshore router in the Caymans. Your fingerprints are on every line. My tongue tastes metal. Truth or fear, can't tell. He steps closer. Rain scent drifts through cracked window. His voice drops. "You can't leak this. Dad will bury you." I whisper, "Dad already buried me once. I clawed back out." Silence swells, thick as wool. Garrett's fist lifts. My pulse skitters. Then, my phone buzzes. Dad's video call flashes. A single frame freezes. The prenup missing page hangs around his neck like a guilty medal. His lips move. "Sydney, my flight lands. Choose." Screen cuts to black. Who is she choosing? The overlooked daughter? Or the man who betrayed her first? He stomped off, rain scent clinging to his suit like guilt. Door clicks. Silence hums. Another knock, softer, knuckles tapping failure. Megan slips inside, mascara streaked yet flawless. She perches on my duvet like it's a throne. "So you're a silent millionaire. That's delicious." I taste mint from the hallway nightlight. I taste suspicion. Greenwich sleet taps the glass like spoons on Waterford crystal. She twirls a strand of bleach blonde hair. "Imagine us, sister bosses. You, code queen behind the curtain. Me, Face of hope to 250,000 fans who like aspirational latte foam. Win, win. I recall age 14, crouched inside this same brass-doored closet. Cold leather chair creaked in Dad's study beyond the wall. I heard him chuckle. A girl's doodles, crushing my handwritten business plan like autumn leaves. I feared tears. Instead, I felt iron rise. This pitch sounds like you want royalties for existing, I say. Megan shrugs. I elevate everything I touch. I step closer. Megan, legacy isn't lipstick. It's nights alone with coffee gone cold and code that refuses to compile for the 43rd time. Her smile wobbles. For a blink, I glimpse the kid who once begged me to hack her ex's Insta after prom. That same tremble. Outside, sirens warble distant and lonely, carving red paths through December fog. Leaf rustle and tire splash weave urban lullaby. I steady breath. Here's the deal. You don't have to code. You have to care. One investor brunch. No filters, no ring light. Tell them why this matters. Like your puppy got caught in data mining and we rescued him. She blinks big hazel eyes. Puppies? I nod, ironic, sincere. New snow begins whispering against window panes. Megan stands, heels sinking into carpet pile, making tiny divots like footprints in fresh guilt. Okay, reality show confession with spreadsheets. But first, hot chocolate. With artisan marshmallows, I need to taste credibility. We drift toward the kitchen, its air thick with nutmeg and old lawsuits. I pour milk, steam coils like restless questions. What happens when followers move on? I ask. Megan sips, foam clings to her lip like stolen virtue. Then we create new followers inside companies using our tech. Legacy isn't viral. It sticks. Outside, dawn's first glow paints the city like a clean slate, or maybe a warning. Doorbell rings. Dad's silhouette fills frosted glass. Tie askew, suitcase dragging years of betrayal. Click. Handle turns. I catch Megan's eye, two chestnuts on opposite squares, now allied by choice. He steps inside. I square shoulders, heart loud as breaking news. Morning, Dad. Ready for family hour on the front page? Morgan stands alone in the childhood bedroom where once love-measured wallpaper still peels like old blame. Her fake jade award sits dusty beneath the mirror where she practiced smokescreen smiles. Tonight, the mirror greets her like a stranger. Who is this woman worth $200 million? Her phone vibrates, a soft skull drum. Megan just posted. Followers feast on crimson gossip. Something big is coming tomorrow at 8 a.m. EST. Heart racing, rain against pain. Does scent carry across Boston brick tonight? Can betrayal be distilled into liquid salt? She exhales. Steam fogs the window. Somewhere below, Dad paces, a lion in a whiskey cage. She whispers, "Tomorrow, they'll all know." But will knowing break or build her? Suddenly, floorboards creak. Mom steps inside, clutching diamond earrings gone pocketed, no sparkle left. Her perfume punches the room. Forget-me-nots, old Versace, expensive decay. She grips the rehab brochure Morgan hid behind Frosted Flakes box like contraband gospel. Candlelight gutters. Her shadow quivers across Richard Chase's portrait like a confession spelled in shivers. Breath catches. "Morgan," she pleads, voice cracking like winter ice near thaw. "Burn tomorrow's announcement. I saw him. Saw what he did to you. Inside the family vault." Silence howls. The gasp between them stretches like downtown Commonwealth Avenue at 3 a.m., flickering yellow. My pulse bangs. What secret could make the queen of denial sob into cashmere sleeves? No answer enters. Only storm-throb window-tripping neon on glass. Mom's tears drop, tiny comets streaking pearl before they vanish. She leaves the brochure on the desk like a paper tombstone. Door clicks. Alone. Again. Computer glows. Email open. Public release drafted. blinking same rhythm as ICU monitor. Morgan hovers finger over send, while sirens outside mourn December. She inhales damp rain scent, leaf rustle, tire splash playing city lullaby turned warning bell. One click and legacy shifts. World will swallow Chase bloodline or crown child once called overlooked. She asks the dark, am I steel or snowfall? No reply. Screen cursor pulsing like heartache. She closes laptop. Breath steadies. Tomorrow waits, naked and trembling. Tears welted in her eyes. I knew, Sydney, not the numbers, not the billions, but I knew you glowed. She flicked wet lashes, mascara smudging like midnight bruise. Her perfume, wilted forget-me-nots wed to Chanel No. 5, fogged the study. Salt stung my tongue, not from fresh tears, but from memory. I'm 9 again, racing up Beacon Hill clutching a crumpled B+. The sole slap of patent leather echoes, then drowns in grandfather clock chimes. Caraway and pine swirl, but laughter, Dad's, booms from Sloane's room. I stuff the grade behind velvet umbrellas. I don't belong. Ash clings to my tongue. Winter fireplace warms only strangers. Back to now. I stare at Mom's tear-stripped face. You could have stood up for me, I whisper, voice raw. She nods, shame dripping off pearl earrings onto mahogany. I called harmony loyalty. I was scared. A single admission melts decade-old ice. I expected war, prepared for legal knives, not this soft, bleeding apology. She exhales. What happens at dawn? I answer into rain-tapping window like Morse code. Everest takes Chase Capital Tech. The name stays. Power flips. She flinches. Your father may never forgive. I cut her off. It's not about forgiveness. It's about finally being seen. She leaves the rehab brochure between us like white flag. Door clicks. Silence roars. Alone, screen glows. Cursor blinking heartbeat. One click. One earthquake. I inhale. Rain smells metallic. Future arriving sharp. Tomorrow waits. Naked, trembling, mine. 5:59 a.m. The skyline stays bruise blue, not yet gold. I zip the charcoal Armani, the one Dad called too chic for business. Mirror fogged by Chanel steam. My reflection looks strange. Who is this woman with razored hair? A smile that doesn't touch the eyes. I pad downstairs. The kitchen whispers rain against copper gutters. Maria's spoon scrapes porcelain. Coffee curls like guilty smoke. She places a cup in my hand like it's holy water. She knows. No one speaks. Across the table, the manila folder. Morgan, off-market transfer. Crimson tie of his fraternity. Harvard crest fraying at the throat. Eyes nailed to the second hand of the grandfather clock. Tick, tock. He opens his mouth. Silence. I taste metal and syrup-stale bourbon left from Thanksgiving. Maria backs against the Sub-Zero, earrings quivering like wind chimes. He lets the folder drop. Page 1. Sold to Hawthorne Group. Ink still wet, almost alive. His finger stabs the bottom signature. Not his, not mine. Whose smooth, looping M cuts the page like betrayal in cursive? Heartbeat trips. The room tilts. My name, once scribbled on kindergarten valentines, now traded like loose stock. I step into the study. Cedar panels sweat old cigar ghost. Dad sits, shoulders curved, tie askew, eyes ground glass. I do not sit. I perch on the desk edge, feel the mahogany sweat beneath my palm. Legally binding, he rasps. The board vote unanimous. His voice cracks like ice over thawing pond. I watch the second hand crawl. Quiet roars so loud the French doors rattle. I hear footsteps. Sloane. Mom? But nothing follows. Dad's hand hovers above a second folder. Unmarked. Closed with ivory string. My curiosity slices sharper than any blade. What fresh damage hides inside? The office lights snap off. Emergency strobes paint Dad's face blood red. A hologram flickers alive above the desk. Sydney from 8 years ago, tear-streaked, recording the voicemail he never got. The PA crackles. He's selling to break me, not the company. Dad's jaw trembles. Sydney's breath freezes. She realizes the leak was herself. She whispers, "Replay that." The hologram smiles directly at her. "Checkmate, sis." The scent of rain on asphalt sneaks through cracked windows. Greenwich leaves rustle like gossip. The study is cathedral quiet, except for the low hum of the city, distant sirens, a leaf blower 2 estates over. Sydney feels her pulse in her throat, hard and unrelenting. Dad's voice cracks again. "You're erasing 50 years." She steps closer, heels whispering over antique Persian. "I'm writing the next chapter." Silence thickens, heavy as humidity before a storm. The ivory-stringed folder still waits on the desk like a confession. She doesn't reach for it. Not yet. Dad turns from the window. His reflection in the glass looks old, suddenly fragile. "How did you do it?" he whispers. "You had nothing. No trust fund. No last name." Sydney's voice is soft, razor-sharp. "I had my education, and your silence." She lets that land. Then, "I also had the voicemails, all of them." His face drains. "You kept them?" She nods once. "Every time you didn't pick up, every time you told me I wasn't enough, I listened, I learned." The hologram dissolves. The strobes fade. Only the sound of rain remains, steady and unforgiving. She walks to the window now. The estate looks small from here. "I rebuilt what you broke," she says. "Brick by brick, line of code by line of code. While you were polishing legacy, I was inventing the future." The unmarked folder still waits. She unties the ivory string. Inside, a single flash drive. She doesn't plug it in. She doesn't need to. She already knows what's there. She turns to him. "Chairman Emeritus is still open," she says, "but you'll sign the papers in my office, not the other way around." The flash drive feels warm between my fingers. I slide it across the table like a chess piece. "Watch." Dad jams it into the laptop. The screen floods with spreadsheets. Each line hums louder than the rain against the windowsill. 300 grand. Fake vendors. Garrett's betting app. His grin frozen on CCTV. Receipt after receipt. Dad's breath catches. "No." He scrolls faster. "I authorize those transfers." His voice cracks. "To cover Garrett." His knuckles whiten around the trackpad. "Protect him from exposure." His shoulders cave. "You were collateral damage." My heartbeat syncs with the grandfather clock. Tick, tick, tick. "You funded my betrayal," I whisper. A family portrait crashes to the floor. Glass fractures across the parquet like ice on a pond. He doesn't move to pick it up. The scent of rain slips inside through cracked sashes. Greenwich leaves Russell, gossiping. I watch his face shift from marble to clay. "Did you ever think I'd come back?" The silence stretches. He meets my eyes. "I thought you would break." A pause, thick as humidity. "I hoped you would." The room tilts. I expected rage. Instead, I find resignation. "You were wrong," I say. He nods. Once. Sharp. Like dropping a coin in a fountain. "I see that now." The silence stretches 12 seconds. Rain taps the window like a metronome. Richard Chase leans forward, elbows on the mahogany. "Walk me through the numbers." His voice crackles. Dry. I slide the tablet closer. One swipe. Revenue graph arcs like a comet. "Integration platform brought in 8. I pause. Now 9 clients. Breath stings my chest. They pay, every quarter, no legacy favors. My finger taps a spike. 42% margin, 0 venture capital. His eyes narrow. Who wrote the code? I let the quiet hum. Me, first draft at 17, in the pool house, while Megan filmed TikToks. The memory burns mint cold. "You called it a toy." I spread the contracts like tarot cards. Now it runs Fortune 500 payrolls. Richard flips a page. Fingers tremble on the corner. "The kill switch," he whispers. I meet his gaze. Neon USB on the table pulsates. Red like a heartbeat. "Every keystroke you taught me became a boomerang," I say. "Tomorrow at 9:30 Market Bell?" My voice drops to a Boston-laced purr. Your legacy systems freeze, unless I say, "Go." Thunder laughs beyond the glass. Leaf Russell answers. The estate looks smaller from here. He studies me as if seeing a stranger who shares his eyes. "What do you want?" The question cracks, vulnerable, dangerous. I let the rain speak first, then I smile. Not sweet. Surgical. A seat at the table. Mine. I tap the contract headline, CEO, Chase Holdings. Sign before the release drops, or bury yourself on CNBC. My pulse steadies. Your choice. He nodded slowly, his gaze drifting down to the stack of papers on his desk. As he lifted his eyes to meet mine, I saw an unexpected clarity. "You outmaneuvered me completely," he said, a hint of something resembling pride layered within his voice. It felt surreal. From him, it was as close to approval as I'd ever received. A tempest of emotion swirled in my chest. Not quite vindication, not quite forgiveness, but something raw and real hovering in the space between. "I learned from watching you," I confessed, feeling the past thaw just a little. "Even when you didn't think I was paying attention." He extended his hand across the desk. "So, Chairman Emeritus?" I grasped his hand, sealing our first professional agreement as equals. "Welcome to Everest Holdings, Dad." 6 months after that fateful Thanksgiving, I stepped into the revitalized headquarters of Chase Capital Tech. The once-staid building had been transformed into an open, vibrant space filled with state-of-the-art technology. It felt alive. History anchored us, but the future flowed through every corner. In my role as CEO of Everest Holdings, I balanced my time between San Francisco and Boston. Integrating two companies wasn't easy, yet the transformation exceeded even my wildest predictions. Surprisingly, Dad embraced his Chairman Emeritus status with a calm grace. After navigating through the initial shock and anger, he relished mentoring young talent and maintaining old relationships. We set up weekly meetings. His insider insights on company history became moments I genuinely cherished. For the first time, our dynamic felt rooted in respect rather than the weight of expectations or disappointments. In the midst of it all, I couldn't shake the feeling that our journey had only just begun. Would we truly reclaim what had been lost? Could we mend the fractures of the past, or were we merely buying time until the next storm hit? The tension loomed, like thunder quietly building just beyond the horizon. Rain lashed against the glass-walled boardroom. Morgan stood at the edge of a storm, clutching the unsigned merger papers that held her fate in a delicate balance. This was her moment. Crown herself the queen of the Chase Holdings empire, or face exile forever. Across the table, the trader smiled, an undercurrent of tension rippling through the air. He knew. Just one clause. One tiny detail stood between them. The pen hovered, heartbeats drowned by the relentless tick of the clock. Suddenly, his phone buzzed, the screen lighting up with a name that flipped the very narrative. The blood drained from his face. Who was calling? What secret had just walked through that door? As confusion swirled, Morgan's thoughts raced back to the deception, the betrayals, the weight of being the overlooked middle child in a family of elites. In that moment, the rain's scent hung heavy, invigorating, promising new beginnings. Could she convert the pain of betrayal into her ultimate vengeance? Would this define her worth, or push her further into the shadows? And so began her ascent, a determined, resourceful woman, maneuvering through family politics and business intrigue. But was she truly ready to reclaim her rightful place? Moments at that table felt endless, loaded with unresolved tension. Triumph in a political arena full of nepotism seemed so close, yet so far. Garrett's betrayal had spun its own complexities. Once a threat, he now toiled in his MBA program, his focus shifting from embezzlement to enlightenment. Megan, too, had transformed. Thriving as a brand ambassador, her social media flair captivating a younger audience, crafting their tumultuous saga into a narrative of empowerment. What about Mom? Freed from the family's chaos, she ventured into new realms, preaching to young girls to avoid the mistakes of the past. Would Morgan's family find healing, or had they merely stirred a new tempest beneath a tranquil surface? Walking through the office, Morgan was no longer just the hidden middle child. She commanded respect now, the force behind a revitalized Chase Holdings. But just as she embraced her new identity, her assistant's words cut through her thoughts. "Your father's waiting in the conference room, and your mother confirmed dinner tonight with investors." Could she truly manage not just the family's legacy but the web of complexities each relationship brought? What lay ahead? The tension crackled, thick like fog, as new challenges loomed on the horizon. Would past betrayals come back to haunt her? Could she meet them and emerge a true queen? The hallway smelled like new carpet and rain. I walked toward the conference room. Stopped. The wall of faces felt like a mirror that refused to lie. My portrait, full color now, sat between Granddad's grayscale smile and Dad's frozen handshake of 2015. Words blazed under it. Founder, Everest 4.0, 2024, House of Chase. I reached to straighten the frame. My fingertips slid through the glass as if it was fog. Cold air hushed across my knuckles. The timeline rippled. The others streaked and vanished. Only my face remained, lit like a beacon. A low chime, security's final ping, whispered, "One bloodline left." Dad's betrayal hadn't just pushed me aside, it had deleted him. I stood alone beneath corporate skylights that suddenly felt like stars. The rain scent sharpened. Copper, electricity. Who was the ghost now? Him? Or me? I turned. Dad waited in the glass box ahead, coat on, shoulders tighter than ever. For the first time, he looked breakable. Thanksgiving was 10 days away. No rented ballroom, no roster of donors, no ritual of thanks thinly masking grievances. We had picked our smallest dining table, 4 mismatched chairs, and a promise to speak like humans instead of competitors. Inside the room, he gave a small nod. His voice was quiet. "Your mother set 2 extra plates. Thought you might invite your assistant and her kid." I blinked. Generosity instead of leverage. Was this the same man who once listed my shortcomings on a spreadsheet? He pushed a folder across the table. Not contracts, photos. Granddad at a 1988 launch, soldering wires in a dim garage, plaid sleeves rolled high. Dad at 15 sweeping that same floor, eyes already carrying empire. At the bottom, a fresh print. Me, age 10, holding a cardboard keyboard I'd painted gold. We'd never hung that picture on any company wall. He tapped the edge. I kept it in a drawer. Didn't know how to say pride without sounding weak. Silence stretched, thick as cream. Outside, sleet whispered against tinted windows. I could have listed every scar he'd left. Instead, I asked, "Are we still the same people in these frames, or just the stories that survived?" His laugh was hoarse, almost lost to the hum of fluorescent lights. We went through quarterly numbers afterward. Revenue up 12%. Debt down. A graph curved like a small smile. Yet nothing felt heavier than the question neither of us had voiced. Could a kingdom survive when the crown shrank to fit a single head? Dad gathered his notes, paused. "Walk me to the car?" We stepped into the night. Cold bit our cheeks. Streetlights streaked across the wet sidewalk like runway markers. He stopped beside his old sedan. No driver tonight. He met my eyes. "I don't know how to be anything but Richard Chase, CEO, but I'm learning to be your father in the margins." Just don't close the book before I finish the chapter. Snowflakes melted on his lashes. No dramatic embrace, just two people breathing the same sharp air. He drove away, taillights flickering like embers. Inside, the lobby ghosted with hushed elevator dings. The timeline still glowed. I lifted the corner of my portrait. Real glass, solid again. I smelled coffee from my assistant's late-night pot, earthy and hopeful. 10 years ago, I ran from Boston believing my family was a fortress I'd never breach. Tonight, cracks had become doorways. The legacy wasn't an empire. It was 3 flawed generations learning to sit at one table without armor. Tomorrow's challenge hadn't arrived yet. I already felt its breath at the door. Would tomorrow bring another coup disguised as a handshake? Could tenderness outbid strategy in the boardroom of blood and balance sheets? Snow gave way to salted sidewalk and quiet confidence. One set of footprints headed toward the garage. Mine, steady, unafraid. The rain scent lingered, not of endings, but of starts. If the dynasty now rested on a single heartbeat, at least it beat loudly, honestly, and, for once, free. Midnight lobby. One chart glowing like a crime scene X-ray. 32% surge, 98% lock-in. Not digits, daggers. Each pixel screamed the same question. Did I earn this, or inherit it? Richard slides closer, eyes dull, voice soft. In 10 years I never hit those numbers. Pause. You eclipse me, kid. Not applause, an autopsy. The air thickens. I taste copper behind my teeth. He keeps talking. I built a fortress. You found the door I never saw. Didn't storm it. You simply knocked. Knocked? I bled through that door. Rain from that sleet night still clings to my hair. He lifts the report. Finger tremors. Paper crinkles like dry skin. All I ever wanted, he rasps, was for you to need me less than the company. Seems the company now needs you more. Silence folds between us. Somewhere, elevator cables hum like distant thunder. I inhale the lobby's coffee ghost. Bitter, hopeful. The screen flickers again. Contract renewals glowing neon. My reflection overlays the bar graph, a transparent ghost atop my own triumph. I wonder, had he spoken these words at 25, would I have sprinted away screaming? At 32, I lean closer instead. Then let's share the throne, I say, not divide the crown. His laugh cracks, first sound of thawing ice. Deal, but you set the agenda. I thumb the page corner. The paper feels alive. Outside, Boston snow thins to silver sleet, each shard catching light like shattered diamonds. I smell salt from the waterfront mingling with the leather of his old briefcase. Victory used to taste metallic. Tonight it tastes like possibility. And I remember. His hand on my shoulder. Warm, weighted, not strategy. Together. We used to brawl for chair height. Now the skyline mirrors us. Glass doubles, steady. Chase Capital Tech lives because I stopped running. She lives because I stayed.